Hi, I'm John Landis, and I'm very happy to be sitting here with Ray Harryhausen, the extraordinary, what do you call yourself?
Well, that's very difficult to say. Creator of special effects is what seems to be on the screen all the time.
Ray has an amazingly unique position in movie history because as essentially creator of special effects or technician, he actually has created a body of work where he's truly the auteur of the work. He's even more, I hate to say this, even more than the director, or the authors of the screenplays. Ray, through his extraordinary creatures and animation and artistry, has generated a whole library of films that were unbelievably influential to an amazing number of people who were making pictures today. In fact, Jurassic Park, the entire staff, from Dennis Muir on up, down, all attribute their inspiration, as do the Chiodo brothers and many other technicians now working, to Ray Harryhausen. Also film directors and writers and makeup artists. We all grew up with your movies. And Jason and the Argonauts is the one we're talking about today. And who's this?
This is a skeleton from the Seventh Voyage, of course, earlier. But when we made Jason and the Argonauts, I made 6 more. All of the similar nature, but a little different character in each one.
Could you please give us an explanation of stop-motion photography?
Yes, certainly. Basically, it's the same principle as the animated cartoon, only instead of using flat drawings, we use a 3-dimensional model. And here's a platform with many holes in it, which we fasten the character to the floor. And as you see, this is a jointed figure. It has every joint that a real skeleton would have. And then each frame of film, when the shutter is closed on the camera, we move it just a fraction, and then take a picture, move it a fraction. And when that's repeated many times, you get the illusion that the character's moving on his own.
Well, I noticed that, you know, this skeleton, this is the original skeleton from Sinbad and from Jason. Now, why isn't he all rotten like most of the other figures?
Well, he's made in a different way. Talos and some of the other models have a sponge rubber surface. They have a metal armature inside so that they'll hold their shape. And then they have sponge, which is cast rubber that's beat up and put in an oven. And that only lasts so long. But what I did with this is very difficult to conceal a skeleton within a skeleton.
Within a skeleton, yeah.
So my dad made these very delicate ball and socket joints.
Your father made the armatures?
My father made the armatures, yes, in America, and then shipped them over to me from my drawings. And so it was very difficult to hide the ball and socket joints in the skeleton itself. So I took when I got the skeletons, I took cotton dipped in latex and built the bones up.
And that's what this is?
And that's what this is. That's why it lasts longer. It has a cotton base on it. And then you coat it with a little latex and it makes it smooth.
Now the Hydra, I noticed that it has 7 heads going.
He does. That was a problem, believe me.
Yeah.
To keep 7 heads going, it would take longer than a day to do one scene, and if you went to answer the telephone and you came back, was the 3rd head going forward or backward? So I had to make notes.
Well, now you didn't have like videotape, like a video or anything.
That was before video, yes.
Because I bet, do animators use videotape now to check? Yes, an animator's nodding.
They do now. I never cared where I was. I like to know where I'm going.
It's always very impressive in one of your films, the incredible amount of personality and character you inject into these puppets, especially if you look at Talos, who has no expression. He's a man of bronze. When he's bleeding, the way he grabs at his throat. I mean, how do you get that kind of emotion from these things?
Well, in the early days, I thought I wanted to be an actor. And then I got butterflies in the stomach on opening night, and I decided that wasn't for me. I'd rather be behind the camera. But I'm grateful I took those lessons, that drama course at Los Angeles City College, because it taught me how to act and react with other people in the acting profession. So I have a sort of indirect way of acting through these models. And that's always been quite stimulating to see what comes out on the other end when you get your rushers back.
Jason and the Argonauts holds special interest in your films because I think it's the most intelligent screenplay. I mean, it's really a very smart telling of the Argonauts and the story of Jason, although you left out Medea, I noticed.
We had to.
But the intelligence of the film goes to the casting, except for a couple of people. But basically, it's the best Hercules in movies.
Oh, yes.
Nigel Green, his age and his virility, he's wonderful. He's not one of those steroid.
No, we didn't want. We wanted to get away from these Italian movies that specialized in muscle men and all that sort of thing, because Hercules was supposed to be a sympathetic character.
In terms of Talos, in the myth, Talos really isn't a giant.
No, he isn't.
He sort of doesn't he burn people?
He does, yes. He hugs sailors. He gets himself in a fire red hot, and then he hugs sailors, is the part I read.
We
can't show that, you know. So I've always wanted to. I was always fascinated with the Colossus of Rhodes, so I thought this is a good chance to make Talos a Colossus of Rhodes.
You literally made him a Colossus when he swings his legs over.
Absolutely, at the entrance to the harbor.
Right.
And that's what I had in mind, was this Colossus of Rhodes. So we made him enormous, 200, 300 feet high.
Because his movement is so spectacular. I mean, he moves.
Then I had to go out of my way to make it jerky, you know. You spend your life trying to make smooth animation, and I made it typically stiff, and so we could put the sound effects of iron wrenching against itself. And I got some criticism saying that was terribly jerky animation.
No, ignore those people. But still, the movie, it has such a wonderful look, and the production values. It was all made in Italy?
It was all made in Italy. We shot in Palinuro down near Naples. And we were there for quite a few weeks. We shot in the wonderful temples of Paestum,
Where
the harpy sequence. Yeah.
That's extraordinary. They let you climb all over.
Those were 5,000-year-old temples, and they let us at the time. We got permission to climb and put nets all over it. And
well, for instance,
we
that sequence with the blind man and the harpies and the explanation of why he's there and why he's being tormented and stuff, and his anger at the gods. I mean, I don't know if Greek mythology is taught anymore in schools, but it's so, that's one of the better tellings. I mean, it really is intelligently staged and acted and presented, and it's something you don't realize as a kid, but when you grow up, you're grateful for it.
Yes, I understand that many times they choose Jason and Clash of the Titans to run in schools to show visually what the Greek mythology is all about. Some schools teach it and very few do now. But I was grateful that I was exposed to it in my high school days.
And I also know we received criticism for presenting, no, it's not Poseidon, who's the guy, the murderer?
Triton, yeah.
Okay, Triton, coming up as a man in a costume for the Clashing Rock.
Yes, there were some of the animation fans felt that it should have been animated, but we felt in that case that a human would be better. And we shot it at high speed.
So that was not an economic decision, that was
no, it wasn't an
decision.
Economic decision as much as, well, partly, because stop motion takes time. And we shot this whole sequence in 1 week, where if it were a stop motion sequence, it'd probably take a month or
trailers.
two
Visita
to
mi
shoot it in
canal.
animation. Plus the problem with the water. Water is always a problem, so we decided to do it as a high-speed
Explain why water is a problem.
Water is a problem because unless you make your miniature on such a big scale that the droplets that fall, that arise when something hits the water, they become so large that they look out of place.
Yeah, you can't shoot water miniature.
It's very difficult to shoot water on a very small scale, and we could only build our miniatures so big. It was a 5-foot miniature, and we had agitators to make the water ripples go very small, and then we had all sorts of mechanisms to do that. And we shot it at 96 frames a second.
Wow.
Can you imagine 96 separate pictures going through the camera in 1 second?
Did the camera make a lot of noise?
Oh, yeah. One time it blew up and the door flew open. We had to start all over again.
Now, in Jason, what's your favorite sequence in Jason? Do you have one?
My favorite sequence, well, I suppose the skeleton was the most trying sequence, so that was one of my favorites. It was the most challenging because there were 7 skeletons fighting 3 men.
So that was terribly difficult.
It was complicated because when one man brings his sword down, during the rehearsals, he had to know where to stop. And I had to get a skeleton at that point so that when he stopped his sword, there was a skeleton there to stop it. And that required a great deal of detailed planning ahead and counting of frames. Every frame of the live action had to be analyzed and charted so that when they moved around, they would be at the right place at the right time.
Something I want to repeat again, because it's something that's unique to Mr. Harryhausen here, to Ray, which is, I cannot think, except for Willis O'Brien, of essentially a technician, a film craftsperson who becomes the true author of the work. And in Ray's case, you formed a partnership with Charles Schneer.
Yes,
and
many years.
And the two of you went on to make how many pictures?
I made a total of 16, but most of them were for Columbia Pictures and for Charles Schneer. He's very enthusiastic about fantasy, and we both respect the parts each of us have to take in developing this type of story, and it seemed to work out very well.
Ray, it's really been a pleasure talking to you about Jason and the Argonauts, one of my favorite films, which I do want to repeat. I saw at the Pickwood Theater on Pico Boulevard near Westwood Boulevard here in LA, and I drove my bike. I remember very well. I drove my bike to see it. It was about 3 miles.
On a bicycle?
On a bicycle. And it just created what's called suspension of disbelief. We were on that beach running from Talos, and it's very exciting and I don't know, wonderful that people can re-experience a film as worthwhile for new generations.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.